Hi, welcome to another episode of Rusted Recreation. We're kind of getting back to where the first episode started. It's still cold outside. The RV's still too big to pull in my shop. So we're going to get back to the Blazer and kind of what stalled me out on it to begin with. If you remember, pulled the 4.3 out of the Blazer on the very first episode, and the plans were to put this one in. Here, get some light here. No need in working in the dark when we got plenty of light. Okay, that's a little better. Anyways, this is the 350 that I was going to use. And then I discovered off camera that this motor won't rotate. So we're going to have to get it on this engine stand over here. Get it torn down the rest of the way. As you can see, I got the accessory drive off the front of the motor. And got the hoist chain hooked up, hoist ready to go. And we're going to get it off this little rolly stand and get it on the better stand over here. Now we gotta find long bolts. Okay, well I didn't have the right bolts. I got the right all thread. And one square nut. I've been toying with different ways of making this work, but I don't have an engine stand with a narrow front end, and I don't have an engine hoist with child-bearing hips. They always end up playing a game of monkeying around until you get the two of them to work together. Oh. It's starting to cool off in here pretty good. Oh. We started out at midnight with our today's high of 36 degrees Fahrenheit, which is like 2 degrees, 3 degrees Celsius. And from midnight on today, 20 mile an hour winds straight out of the north, falling temperatures. Love Missouri. more and more I watch the people out there in the desert Southwest having fun. Makes me think maybe I'm in the wrong spot. Except this is where all my family is. I know you're not out of your juice. I guess we are out of height on that. No way we're out of height. No way we're out of height. Should have like 5 more inches of cylinder here. Are we just cold, or we leak all the fluid out? This gets to be dangerous putting it in with the cylinder out. If I overfill it and I let her down, it's going to blow all that fluid out on my ground. Let's see if that helps it. Oh yeah. We was just out of go-go juice. Everything's so cold, nothing wants to work right. Which I guess I don't blame it. It's cold, I don't necessarily want to work right either. Where's my locking chain? Screwdriver slash pry bar always works, right? There we go. Might actually worked out. You just gotta chain up in the middle of the motor instead of front to back. And you gotta have your boom rigged out well it past, well, we're 6 inches past the safety zone on it. So yeah, I don't recommend doing that. But as the first struggle free, the last time I put an engine on this engine stand, it had both legs sitting on top of these legs, and once I got to the point I had the pin in there, it was let it down and then just jerked it off of there. So I don't recommend. Those things are heavy. Alrighty, making progress. Remember, this is a project that I started, was the first episode. And I've been apprehensive to open this motor up because I don't know why it doesn't rotate. It rotated 10 years ago when it went into storage. But then again, 10 years ago when it went into storage, it had a cam gear on it. It had the crank gear on it. It had the timing cover. It had the front balancer. It was missing the water pump. It was missing the flex plate and the top of the that metal piece that holds the top of the rear main. That stuff was missing. I don't remember if my distributor was missing or not. And I'm not saying anybody came in and stole my parts. I know I didn't sell them to anybody. They must have got up, walked away, and had a party together. It's starting to get pretty chilly in here. I'm going to cut video for a moment. Turn the salamander back on. Let it run for about 30 minutes. Go inside. When I come out, it'll be all nice and toasty. And we can continue our adventure together. Find out what else is wrong with this motor besides the missing parts. Alright, you got the top half of the intake off, and we can see GM's wonderful spider injectors. Centralized multi-port fuel injection. When they go bad, it's these plastic lines that go bad most of the time. And then they flood your intake with gasoline, fill your crankcase up, which is what happened to that motor over there. Crankcase half full of gas. Hydrolocked the cylinder, wouldn't even try to start. Although I think this is the second generation of it, where this thing had the first generation of it, and I believe that they were more commonly had the return line was the main culprit on these. On this generation of them is these. I don't know if the time lapse caught it or not, but I just ran out of diesel fuel. You would have seen a big white cloud of smoke roll past the camera. Of course, now it's hard to breathe in here because I'm full of diesel smoke. And when I found out that I could burn diesel fuel in that kerosene salamander. The smell of diesel fuel is a lot better than the smell of kerosene. And you know, there's probably engine builders freaking out because I had a torque or an impact gun on these head bolts. But I tell you what, if it's good enough for Steve Dulcich, it's good enough for me. roadkill or no kill. Are you dizzy yet? So, what the inside of our combustion chambers look like, the little oily, a little bit of rust on the valves, some sort of some sort of right there from the, I'm guessing that's out of the coolant passages. And besides that, the intake runners are full of garbage. So that motor was running like trash before it was given, or well, it wasn't given to me. I paid $100 for it 10 years ago. And that must have been the valve that was hung open this whole time, all that extra rust on it. You got some more of the goop out of the cooling system. A little bit of buildup of stuff in the combustion chamber. Mostly carbon, a lot of carbon in the intakes. Oh. Cylinders don't look horrible. That one's the worst right there. I mean, I don't see anything there that would keep it from rotating. Mystery gets more and more, folks. What has happened to my motor over the last, I think that's probably just trash that dropped in there when I just pulled it apart. The other cylinders look really horrible. I said this one's the worst one, and that's that's the opposite of the horrible looking valve. So I'm guessing one of these valves must have been held open a little bit. That valve was definitely held open. I mean, if I was just going to slam this back together, I'd be a little bit more concerned about the debris in here. It looks like it has factory roller lifters. So factory roller cam. Yeah, I guess we're gonna have to flip this thing upside down. Find out exactly what's going on with it. Maybe it's something stupid. Maybe somebody didn't put it all the way back together. Y'all remember the exact story. Alrighty. Yeah, roll this thing over. I'm missing half my oil pan bolts. Yay! as to be fair, there was a box that did contain some nuts and bolts. And it had the oil pan bolts. You know, that might be where the valve cover was at. And I don't remember the timing chain being an issue. I think all I had to do was replace that part on top of the motor. Oh, running out of boxes to put things in. Alright, here we go. There's a rod cap just laying in there. Our main cap. That main cap's missing a bolt. This main cap's missing a bolt. They're all missing a bolt. I guess if I was a motor, I wouldn't necessarily want to rotate with my parts just hanging loose in there either. Well, let's see what we can make happen now. Oh, go to the big box. Where's my pry bars though? Here we go. Big pry bar. Oh, hey. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, that makes me feel so much better. I think this is something we can work with. Go ahead, go through and replace all the bearings. And what I'm thinking is that since this 4.3 is a small block minus 2 at the center cylinders, that I ought to be able to harvest the nuts and bolts that I need to have all the nuts and bolts to put this back together. Just order new bearings for everything. As order a complete rebuild kit. Oh, being in this far into the motor really makes you want to put a camshaft into it. But at the same time, if you're trying to build stuff on a budget, and I'm throwing junkyard parts at it anyways, that we might as well just see if we can put it back together and make it run with the parts that we got, right? That would at least make the most sense to me to have this put back together for as little money as possible. We're already a gasket set into it, so bearings and gaskets, ladies and gentlemen. And then I got a line on a TPI intake for a carburetor to put a carburetor on this, and then I'll have to find an HEI distributor of some kind to put in there. Give you all a close-up look. Here we are, so the crank doesn't look horrible. That's it. We're missing a bolt out of every cap. So I don't remember if rod cap bolts were in that box, and honestly I don't remember where that box is. But we're missing a bolt out of the back of the crank. Oil pump's missing. Okay, those are just studs. For a minute I thought bolts were broke off. That bolts into the middle there. Okay. It's not a complete disaster. We might be able to build a running motor to put back in that truck. It's hard telling what actually happened with this motor. That second ring is just stuck in there. I don't see the gas. Oh, there it is. That's where they're stuck together at. So piston and rings are the same in the 4.3, right? pistons with good studs in them still. The rod should be the same. The pistons should be the same. Just a 350 minus 2 cylinders, right? We're going to put that to the test here in a little bit. We finish tearing this thing down. Glad I wasn't betting the farm on this motor. They are numbered, right? Yeah. Your rod caps have to go back in order, facing the right direction. Really, they got an arrow on them that points to the front of the motor, and they're numbered. You know, one, 2, 3, 4, and then your main cap is obvious. There's a bit of weird discoloration there. That's the lock side. That's the lock side. So they've been into the crank. Yeah. Huh. Weird. Oh, I wonder if there's something on the counterweight. Or a little bit of something that was hanging on the counterweight that rubbed off there. So you got one. Get it out and oh folks, a camshaft is not something I can swap out with a 6-cylinder engine. I can swap a lot of parts out. I can't swap the camshaft out. My heater's noisy. See if the little bit of the blaster size will loosen these up a little bit. Can't hurt, right? Quit beating on with metal. Yeah, drop the machine parts on the floor. That's good on them, ain't it? This is why we do regular oil changes, folks. You use good oil, not the cheap stuff. And then maybe after 200,000 miles, these things will just slip right out of there anyways. Yeah. You'll hear me say a bunch of random mileages on this motor because I honestly don't know. It just acts like a high mileage motor. Something to be said about them overhead valve jobbies. cam bearings are gummed up as the lifters were. Okay. I guess the cam's in good shape. A little bit of wear over the nose. Has the oil crust. I'm not seeing any deep grooves, just oil crust. Okay, well, camshaft's reusable. You can see where one of them lifters was starting to get tight. A little bit of wear. Wheels starting to skid right there, it looks like. But for, as many presumed miles are on that motor, it doesn't look horrible. Well, you look over this motor, I mean, let me get some light. And you can see some scoring, some rusting from the rings. I mean, they need a little quick home job. Break the glaze, get the rust out. A little bit of pitting there that might. I don't know. You see a little bit of that rust varnish combination down inside the lifter bores. I think we're at the point that we're doing a quick dingle ball hone. It kind of looks like a hot spot. Anyway, we're doing a dingle ball rebuild at best. The worst looking part of everything is the cam bushing or bearing. Looks rather chewed up. That's just that front one. I don't know, I could probably throw it back in there and get a few more miles out of this motor, but there's no way that, it's going to be reliable. So when it comes to the idea of doing the bush fix, it might be like a hybrid. A bush fix with a little bit of help from Summit. I'm going to talk to Mike, a couple other engine guys, and see what they think. We'll get this motor off the stand, and then I'll just get that 4.3 put back on the stand, get it all stripped of its goodies, and we'll see what I come up with. Y'all will be as surprised as I am. Alright, before we close this video out, let's talk YouTube demographics. I've been doing this long enough, they're actually giving me some pretty good information. Just for starters, 99% of y'all are male. 1% are female. Ladies, tell your friends, get your friends watching. Y'all could be doing better on those numbers. And then, the ages broke down quite a bit. Basically, everybody older than 35 watches. As far as my demographic, it's pretty even split. Now let's go to the map. United States, 91% of my viewership is coming from y'all. Canada, y'all are chiming in at 7%, 7.7%. I appreciate that. And then noticing a trend of people that really don't like England a whole lot. We got Australia. Guys, we're at 0.5%. Half of 1% of my viewership is coming clear from my friends over here in Australia. And I'll be honest with you, that's why I drop my videos at midnight. I have a couple friends over there. I imagine that they've queued a couple of their friends in on it. And that's where my 0.5% of viewership in Australia comes from. But when I drop it at midnight, our time here in Missouri, by the time you get all the way around here and over to these guys, that they are 15 hours ahead of us, and Sydney is where I think it is. So I'm not sure how many more time zones there are across Australia. But the way it works out, when I drop midnight my time, that they get it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Thursday their time. That gets the majority of the world within my viewership on Thursday afternoon. So basically, if you just figure on, if you just figure on when you get home from work on Thursday, there's going to be a video there for you to watch. Make sure you tell your friends. If you like the content, make sure you're liking the videos. You comment on the videos. Just keep it respectful. And make sure you subscribe. Click that subscribe button. The more subscribers I have, the more likely I am to create more entertaining content. And I'm toying with the idea of doing something at 1,000 viewers, something crazy. I don't know what it is yet. 1,000 viewers is a long ways off. We're at over 1,000 subscribers is a long ways off. But at 1,000, we're going to do something. Now, if I wake up tomorrow morning and there's 1,000 subscribers to my channel, you're obviously going to have to give me a little bit of time to come up with something to get it all in the works. But I suspect that I'm getting about 7 viewers a month. At that rate, sometime 2 years from now, we'll hit 1,000, and we'll get to do something crazy. Thank you for watching.